but I do consultations in Houston one-on-one. And my passion is shadow work and and showing people about how to have a better relationship. So today I thought I would talk about Venus, because Venus is the part of all of us that seeks love. And it's Venus is the planet, the archetype that rules love, who we love, and when it comes to shadow work, we can't do it alone. We need other people. So let me tell you a little bit about the symbol itself, as it is our personal guide to our inner relating desires and feelings about relationships. Venus rules two signs, and they are Taurus and Libra. So first I'll describe something about those two signs, as this will become apparent in the necessity of doing shadow work, as I will describe later. When I describe these two signs, I want you all to keep in mind that we all have Libra and Taurus in our chart somewhere. But some of us have a stronger propensity to resemble the archetypes because we will have a lot of those two signs in our chart based on our birth time, date, and place, and the year you were born. So someone can be born a Capricorn and yet have other influences or strong influences of Libra and Taurus. So you can't look at a person's chart and say, oh, well, I'm a Gemini or I'm a Leo, so that doesn't apply to me. It really is archetypal. That means it applies to all of us. And as I go along, you'll understand that. But first, I'm going to describe both of these signs. Taurus describes what we want, what we value. So it is also about our possessions and what we own and what gives us pleasure. Those things that comfort and soothe us. Ease is a very Taurian word. It is our need for security and safety with that significant other. So it tends towards possessiveness and ownership. A very persevering spirit makes Taurus someone that can be counted on to follow through on whatever they've given their word about. Practical and realistic, Taurus has a distaste for change due to its strong need for stability and security. As an earth sign, it needs to touch and be touched. And you will find that they do well when they have a strongly physical relationship with their partner. Soft and gentle in appearance and in personality, unless someone pushes them too hard, and then the stubborn side of Taurus will come out and they will dig in their heels and not budge. Being a lover of beauty, their home and their surroundings will combine a good use of color and art, as their tastes are elegant and traditional. Another pleasure for Taurus is food. Good food that is excellently prepared. So good culinary capability is associated with this sign. Its needs are different from the needs of Libra, as you can see. So I'm now going to describe Libra. And Libra, however, is motivated to seek balance with others, and it's much more attracted to intelligence and communication, as it's an air sign. Its needs are to create harmony and peace, so it can usually see that there are two sides to every conflict. Cooperation and fairness is important, very important, to someone that is strongly Libran. They will notice when things are not fair, and they will take their share of the responsibility for whatever has taken place, and then take the necessary action to correct the imbalance. As it is a cardinal energy, cardinal just implies leadership and action. So Libra will take action on whatever it sees is out of balance and will strive to bring that back into harmony. Libra also values being part of a team. So you'll notice that strongly Libran influence is a team player, participating with their partner. Your needs are as important as my needs. And that is a Libra statement. And they will always take their partner into consideration in their decisions. They are not loners, and so they seek to connect and engage with people. And they love people. So it's a very social influence, and usually they are one of the organizers that is bringing people together in all kinds of social gatherings. Myself, whenever we would go karaoke, I have very strongly Libran character, and I'm texting everybody to let them know where we're going. And that's my job. So a Libran is very significantly invested in how do we get together as a group socially. Libra is also the sign of marriage and the seventh house, which is the marriage house in the birth chart. So Libra is a natural mediator. When two people are having challenges, Libra, being a thinker and very conscientious about bringing, that is something Libras really value, is conscientiousness, being conscious. They value that both people have a different perspective, and they try to help them see how they each can combine those two parts of their nature. So it is a very quick mind when it comes to seeing how to create balance and bring about the peace for those that are involved. And Libra wants everyone to love each other. So that is very strong in a Libra character. Also very aesthetic, a lover of beauty, just like Taurus. Libra surrounds itself with flowers, with art, with beauty and color. And the purpose is for that feeling of love, which leads us now to the planet Venus itself. And so Venus, in all of us, is the planet that rules our social attitudes and behavior, our sense of aesthetics, as one of the feminine principles, relationships and relating, because relating is very feminine. All of our social interactions with others are ruled by the Venus archetype. And again, archetype just means that we all have it. So if something is archetypal, it means that we all have it. It's something in our psyche. And Venus is also what we value. And as Liz Green says in the book, The Inner Planets, which is a compilation of seminars given with the late Howard Sasportas, the most profound meaning of Venus is the beloved, be it a person, an object, or an intellectual ideal, as the mirror of one's soul. It is a glimpse of God to whom one's soul belongs. I love that statement, and that's Liz Green. And Venus also describes romance and marriage and other partnerships. And it is, the beloved is our higher self. So it is a projection and a companion to our inner world. It is our capacity for security, for pleasure, for patience, again, engaging others, affection, being affectionate and physical. Sex is ruled by Scorpio, but Venus and Taurus, in the Taurus sense, rules touch. And in the Libra sense, it rules cooperation and accepting differences. So it describes how we each seek pleasure, how we express our love and affection, and what qualities are beautiful and attractive, and what could be a good relationship for each of us. Aspects to the other planets will show the ease or the dis-ease of our particular Venus, and in that regard, any good astrologer can help you with that, in seeing that. And I will be going into that in detail in a webinar that I'm creating. But because of the ease and dis-ease that can possibly be in our birth chart, and none of us are born tabula rasa or blank slates, we are born with these archetypal predispositions at birth. This is where shadow work comes in. Because in order to satisfy our Venusian needs, and we all have them, then we will seek others to satisfy these needs. And when we learn to do shadow work, and it takes work, this is not easy to do at all. It takes work. But if we're willing to do it, then we can have the successful relationships that we want. I guarantee it. I've taught others about this for almost 30 years, and I've watched people who take this information seriously develop their hidden side, their shadow, and it makes all the difference in the world to do it consciously. Astrology is a real blessing, as our birth chart gives us details about us that are important to us, having that long-term, healthy, and harmonious relationship that Venus in all of us desires. It is our desire nature. I know a lot of people who stay married very unhappily because they refuse to look at why this particular person was brought to them to begin with. There is a teleology in the universe. Teleology just means it is leading somewhere, and it's exactly what we needed. The teleology is seeking to help us unfold our highest potential. This is the law of attraction at its finest. And if you get out of the emotional pain and really look at your relationships with this in mind, it is truly miraculous. Knowing that all of our relationships, whether they are with lovers, friends, cousins, siblings, or even our own parents and children, are a part of our very sacred path towards wholeness and healing. And it gives us the courage to try again and the wisdom to admit we need to grow from these experiences. Every painful lesson learned is always for both people, always. Again, none of us is born perfect. If we're still on this planet, then we are still working on knowing ourselves, and no one knows their whole self. This is a task of a lifetime because so much is unconscious. There are two centers to the psyche. The psyche has our ego consciousness, what we know about ourselves, and what Carl Jung called our unconscious, our hidden self, our shadow. And therefore, again, if it's unconscious, we don't know about it. And so that's why we get into relationships to begin with. Unconsciously, we are seeking ourselves. And this hidden part of us that we are seeing as if in a mirror, these are both positive and negative qualities and characteristics. These are the hidden parts of us that are our highest value that we fall in love with, as well as the parts we cannot tolerate about ourselves. So therefore, we deny, we repress, we disown parts of ourselves. I don't care how bad that last marriage or relationship was. They had clues to something the universe wanted you to see, or they would not have been in your energy space. We are all energy, and like attracts like, and opposites attract. Why? When you can live your life with this awareness, you will know that the universe has always supported you and had your back. We are all growing and changing, and there are no accidents, none, zero. So life is internal, not external, and it is like an infinity symbol. What is inside is going to be outside all the time. So taking 100% responsibility and giving up blame. Yes, sorry, but that is the way it is. So, a very big part of this is giving up our ego defenses. Our ego seeks to survive with as little pain as possible. But as the saying goes, when there's no pain, there is no gain. So, how do we do this? By being willing to look at our shadow, our dark side, all the parts of us that are hidden. And don't be afraid of the word dark. Dark just means it's hidden from our awareness. Just like our physical shadow behind us that we cannot see, our shadow self is a part of us that we do not know. So, the house that our Venus is in will describe where we look for love, and often that's exactly where we'll find it because it's what we value and what is valuable to us. For instance, say your Venus is in the ninth house, then you will find love through a foreigner or when you are traveling mentally or physically, as the ninth house is the house of travel, philosophy, religion, and higher knowledge. So if your Venus is in the 10th house, then you may meet your partner through your career. He or she may even be your boss, or you may end up being their boss. So the house that your Venus falls in is also a part of what you value. Each person's chart is going to be so completely unique to them. However, in all of our charts, our 7th house describes what we evoke in others and what we're drawn to, like a bug to a light. We will be fascinated by them. And I want to show you, I'm going to share my screen and show you all a Kathy cartoon that my mother sent me. I started teaching shadow work in 1992, and I believe that's when I started. And in 1997, my mother and father watched a video on a VHS that I had sent them, and they called me to talk about it. And my mother sent me this cartoon, and I will read it to you. So I'm going to share my screen and show you all a Kathy cartoon. And I'll read it to y'all. I met a man named Kenny, Mom. He is so funny and outgoing. Really? The mom says. When you met Irving, you raved about his ambition. When you broke up with him, you called him a self-absorbed workaholic. When you met Simon, you went on and on about his sensitivity. When you broke up, you told me he was an over-emotional wimp. When you met Alex, you gushed about his free spirit. When you broke up, he was directionless and immature. You've spent half your life selling me on men, and the other half trying to convince me the very qualities you loved are the ones I should join you now in being repulsed by. Why on earth, Kathy says, why on earth, no, the mother says, why on earth should I believe that Mr. Funny and Outgoing won't turn into Mr. Loud and Obnoxious in 2 months? For heaven's sakes, Mom, this is different. Kenny's completely different. And the mother says, daughters make a leap of faith. Mothers require a pole vault. My mom sent that to me after seeing my talk that I had given at Centerpoint, because when I first started, I was teaching at a community center here in Houston called Centerpoint. And that's what this book became, was a transcription of all the different workshops that I taught there for 15 years, maybe longer. It was a long time. So yes, much later, after the new wears off, we will not like that person very much. And usually for the very quality that we found so attractive in the beginning. Why does this happen? Because we have projected our soul, our inner beloved, onto a real live human being. Human beings are not gods and goddesses. Only the the gods and goddesses didn't really love. Only human beings can love. So, as high as you felt at the beginning when you were so in love, is how low you're going to feel when the projections wear off to the same degree, because it was a distortion of reality of that person. You don't really know them yet. To love them truly, you will have to get to know them. You will have to accept all their faults, their flaws, their inconsistencies. And as Robin Williams said in the movie Good Will Hunting, their peccadillos. My teacher, Pittman McGee, says, if you want the projections to fall off, marry the person. And everyone always laughs when I say this when I was teaching. And everyone knows who's been married or in and out of relationships frequently know that the honeymoon phase will not last forever. And he also says, Pittman also says, so you want to know if you like them more than you don't like them. And here is where Taurus can give us a clue as to what that means. Are we at ease? Do we feel safe? Do we feel comfortable with that person? Are they trustworthy and reliable? Are they accountable when they make mistakes? So Taurus is the part of us that wants safety and security to be present in a long-term relationship. Or are they pretending that everything's okay so they don't have to grow up? I know a lot of people who pretend that everything is okay because they need the other person financially. This is the dark side, the shadow side of Taurus. The Libra in us says, do they communicate with us? Do they let us know who they really are and what they feel? Are they willing to take turns with us? Do they meet me halfway? Are they willing to meet me halfway? Or are they hiding behind a persona of niceness in order to keep a fake harmony going on? Are they pretending so that they don't have to be alone? This is the dark side of Libra. Anyone is better than no one. So to love a real person, we will have to know them and they will have to know us. Isn't that what we all really want deep in our souls? To know ourselves and to know the other person? To know our inner beloved will be reflected in our outer beloved. It doesn't mean that we are exactly the same. We will be in certain areas. And I think that's a real glue for relationships, is to have a lot of things in common. Because if you don't have anything in common, there isn't a bridge to meeting each other. And you will exist together as roommates, but not really marriage partners. Complementary, and this is where the Libra part of us can see both sides of a person. Libra side of us can accept differences. If you stay with anyone for long enough, sooner or later, you're going to see your differences. And this is where shadow work will come in, because taking back our projections is the cornerstone to love. Taking back the part that we've put on you and asked you to carry that for us, or we've projected onto you and you're overdoing it, so we don't have to do it. Or whatever we're projecting, the projection is the part of us that refuses to be that part. So therefore, it's unconscious in us. We don't tolerate it about ourselves. And that is where we're going to grow the most. Shifting roles, asking for what we want, negotiating and compromising, and seeking the balance with our significant other is how we start to do the real dance of relating. So using the Taurus and Libran qualities to enhance the love we feel, by sharing inequality. My teacher and good friend Glenn Perry says that Libra is also about fairness, and fairness also means beauty. And beauty indicates harmony, and fairness is equality. So, Venus in all of us rules how we love and who we love. And this is my last episode of Shadow Work Discussions. I'm stopping doing this, and the reason for that is because I'm going to devote the rest of my time this next month to completing my Shadow Work and Your Seventh House webinar. I've been working on it for a while, and I'm committed to finishing it by September 3rd, which is when we will have a full moon, which is a symbol of completion of the feminine. In this past year, I've really come to realize that I cannot work one-on-one with everyone. Although I love the experience of seeing the ahas that people get and that take place when I can communicate to someone what is revealed in their birth chart. It is very soul satisfying for me and for them. I charge a lot. I charge $250 for a consultation because I spend an hour before the consultation and then an hour with that person. So I put 2 hours of my time into it and a lot of experience and background and knowledge. But I also include a psychological horoscope analysis report by Liz Green, the world's most famous astrologer. I am an authorized distributor for her reports here in the southwest part of the United States. They cost $65 and they are worth gold. This is how I learned about my shadow. This is how it first started for me. Because of COVID, I know a lot of people have lost their jobs, or maybe they just can't afford that $250 fee. And I want you to know that I understand, and I will work with you at a discount. So just call me and we will work it out if you want a consultation with me. And this webinar will solve a lot of this dilemma that I'm seeing, that I cannot have the time to work with everyone one-on-one and really make a difference in the world with this information that I have been studying for 30 years. So this webinar is how I will help you all, and we all together will contribute to the evolution of relationships on our planet. And I believe that's how we're going to heal the world, because it begins one-on-one where we are with our immediate environment. It begins with who the universe puts in front of us and the realization that it isn't an accident and that it's important, it's necessary for our growth, for our evolution, and for our ability to develop compassion for other people. So our specific seventh house is what my webinar will go into. And I want to show you, I'm going to share my screen again. And this is the title of the webinar, Shadow Work and Your Seventh House. And I'm going to go into the self, the anima and animus, the shadow, the persona, the mask, the rising sign. And I want to read to you all a quote by Carl Jung that is significant in relationships. A fascination of this kind, whenever we fall in love, a fascination of this kind is never exercised by one person upon another. It is always a phenomena of relationships, which requires two people, insofar that the person fascinated necessarily has a corresponding disposition. But the disposition must be unconscious, or no fascination will take place. The fascination is a compulsive phenomenon in the sense that it lacks a conscious motive. It is not a process of will, but something that rises up from the unconscious and forcibly obtrudes itself upon the conscious mind. And that is a statement by Carl Jung. So my webinar is going to include the union of masculine and feminine for everyone, what that means, the anima and the animus, a thorough understanding of our shadow, what it is, how it is formed, what purpose it has to our healing each other and the planet, our specific seventh house and aspects to our Venus, individuation, becoming who we are meant to be, our true self, which is another concept of Carl Jung's. And ultimately, relationships are mirrors for self-awareness. So our shadow dance partners are essential. And his analytical psychology and concepts and the ability to integrate these opposites are what my webinar will help you do. Our shadow dance partners will eventually lead us to what he called individuation, which was wholeness, not goodness, wholeness. He said, I would rather be real than good. In other words, I'd rather be whole. So you will find out that who you are is ordinary and extraordinary, and that you are one of a kind. And you will also learn about what he called complexes. So we will learn about our mother and our father, and I'm going to share my screen one more time, because Freud says our mother and our father are in our relationship. All these people are in our unconscious. So we bring our mother and father, and they bring their mother and father as we go forward into the relationship. That is what's happening in the relationship. So I'm going to go into detail about our mother and father complexes. So between now and September 3rd, you can purchase the webinar for a discount of $50, because I'm going to have a link on my homepage, which is shadowdance.com, to describe it. After September 3rd, it will be $99. If you sign up now, you will also get a booklet that was written by myself and Helen Race called Tapping into the Acceptance of Your Shadow, with guidance on how to do tapping. And after September 3rd, my webinar will be $99. There will be 6 to 8 modules. So far I have 6, and I may still add another 1 or 2. And maybe I will be adding to it as time goes on. This is the beginning of me really trying to process putting this in a in the way of technology, so that I can reach more people, and that we can each help each other. Because if 2 people can sit and watch my webinar together and discuss it, then they can work through some of the complex problems that they're having. And then it won't lead to going from one person to the next person to the next person. Because as Edna Vincent Millay says, life is not one damn thing after another. It's the same damn thing over and over. And that is why we have to let go of our ego. We have to see what it meant. What was it leading to? What did it want from me? We're no longer victims when we get that awareness. We are leaving the Piscean age of martyrdom. We are at the very end of it, so we still have a lot of the Antichrist happening. And if you want to know more about that, I highly recommend Ed Edinger's work on the myth of modern man on YouTube, and his book, Transformation of the God Image. But that is something that is going on a universal scale. And what this webinar is for our specific relationships, the person that's in our life now. That is who we can contribute to and who will contribute to us. So I'm going to say goodbye for now for Shadow Work Discussions, and it was fun. And I want to thank everyone who has come and commented and shared uh, to their Facebook and their groups. I sincerely appreciate all of you. And I look forward to working with you more. My name again is Rebecca Eigen, and I am the astrologer in Houston for the seventh house. And alchemists, I'm a relationship alchemist, and the alchemist knew that our open heart was our gold. They were not looking for material gold. They were looking for something much, much more extraordinary. And that was the human heart. And that is love. To love one another as I loved you. That Jesus said. Thank you.